see how the audio sounds. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. All right, nice. So that's good. Probably don't need those AirPods. Let's find a glove. Oh, I gotta get loosened up first. Grab one of these. We won't need a putter anymore. We just did our... Hey, C. Rich is in here. What's up, C. Rich? Welcome back to the stream, my dude. Oh, lost our charger. We're gonna need that. Just finished filming another day of 50 putt challenge. Good to get that work done. Oh, it's hot here today. I feel like it's hot everywhere in the States. Whoa. Pop this guy over here. Ah. Hey, Paul. What's up, Paul? Welcome back. Got some extreme heat today, so just gonna take it easy, do some light stretching, maybe do some speed work, run through the super speed protocol. I haven't done that on the stream really before, I don't think. And just kind of go through what I do for, you know, speed in terms of, you know, warming up, getting loose, trying to build up to it. I think it's Golfwell. I think that's his name. Somebody on YouTube who did a pretty cool speed journey, like road to 180 ball speed. That could be fun. Maybe once we get the new space set up. Hey, Tom. Tom the Scott is here. What's up? Early today is right. Yeah, I think I had the time. And I said, you know what? Instead of just sitting around being lazy, I could do something productive. So came in, filmed another 50 putt challenge episode. You guys will see soon. And yeah, just trying to figure out what we're gonna do today. Tom and Paul, the Wandering Scots. All right. So really gotta try to get loose. Dakota. That's funny, Dakota. If only, right? Also, to think that my parents would pay for me to get a tattoo is incredible. Yeah, I wish, my dude. Not So Golden Golf said, yo. What's up, dude? Paul, did you feel the difference yesterday? Yeah, hitting balls, it definitely felt good. You know, the swing feels really good. I think the biggest thing for me to start scoring better will be just continuing to work on the lag putting, right? I still have a couple 3-putts every round, it feels like. I used AI to design, I said based on PGA Tour averages, you know, for first putt distance, design me a putting combine, you know, like 18 holes that I could practice, right? And just try to simulate like play a whole round of golf basically, right? But just on the greens. You know, some of them you're gonna miss the green and then hit a chip, so you'll have like a putt in the 5 to 15 foot range, and so about a third of the putts are in that range, and then the rest are, you know, a mix from like, you know, 20 to 60 feet, and those obviously you're just trying to two putt. I ran through it for the first time yesterday. I think I had 33 putts. And felt like I, you know, missed a couple easy ones. So, whoa, throwing stuff everywhere today. Colin, are you on TikTok? I'm not on TikTok. I think I'm too old for TikTok. I did just join Instagram though, guys. If you want to check me out on Instagram, go give me a follow over there. That would really help me out. It's you know, same as here, just trying to build a platform from the ground up. You know, we've been on YouTube for like 5 months now, maybe 6 months. So, you know, further along building a following here than on Instagram. But if you guys want to go check me out on Instagram, that would be sweet. Griffin wants to know, what's your best round ever? My best round ever is 64, which was 6 under par on a par 70 golf course. Pretty short one too. That was it's only like 6,000 yards. But yeah, I mean, a really good round for me on a full golf course, right? In the 65 to 7,000 yard range would be like high 60s. You know, 68, 69, something like that. Yeah, 64 was fun. That was a really fun day. 6 birdies, an eagle, and a double bogey. No bogeys, but I did make 1 double on the 4th hole. Only way to go. All right, should probably move this guy out of the way here. Otherwise, I'm going to be rocketing golf balls all over the place. You guys saw me the other night put these new grips on. These are Jumbo Golf Pride Tour Velvets. And I put 2 extra wraps on this bottom hand, so there's virtually no taper in that part of the grip. And got them out to the range for the first time yesterday, and now hitting balls again in here. I just am really, really happy. I can't believe that I played with standard grips for so long. I mean, it's very hard to go back to that feeling. Lacrosse9 said hi. What's up, Lacrosse? What do you think about drivable par 4? Should I play driver or irons? So, see, Rich, the answer really depends, right? If you have a drivable par 4, but there's hazards, right, out of bounds or water or something, that hitting your driver could bring those into play, then, you know, golf strategy would say you probably shouldn't hit a shot that could bring those hazards into play, right? But if it's drivable and there aren't, and again, when we say are they in play, you know, use like a 20% number. So from 300 yards, is there a 60 yard wide area where I could land my ball in between the hazards? And if so, then you should definitely hit the driver, right? You want to get it as close to the green as possible without bringing those hazards into play. But let's say you only had a 40 yard wide landing area up by the green. Well, then you should, you know, back up until, you know, you can hit a club where that dispersion is gonna not bring those hazards in, or you feel like you can, you know, 10 out of 10 times keep it in play. Because what we don't want to do is be aggressive and try and hit a driver on a hole where we shouldn't, then hit it out of bounds or in a hazard and bring double into play, right? Yeah, really happy with how that swing is looking. Wow. Paul says, I think you can beat your best score, bro. Wow, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like walking off the golf course that day, I was like, man, 64 is gonna be tough to beat. But I'd like to think you're right. You know, especially now with doing this golf YouTube stuff and having more time. Sometimes it feels like I have more time. Sometimes it feels like there's less. But, you know, since I changed careers and have been able to practice and play more, yeah, I'd like to think that I could do that again or beat it. Whew, it's warm in here, guys. Let's see that one more time. You love your driver landing your ball into hole. That's exactly right. Princess Penelope said hi. Hello, welcome back. Nate says I put the pizza in the oven. Outlasted said, have a good stream, bro. Thanks very much, my dude. Yeah, we're just going to be hanging out, hitting some balls. Trying not to overheat. I think it's supposed to be in the 90s here today. For Paul and Tom, that's Fahrenheit. I would guess it's probably like mid to high 30s Celsius. Really enjoying that feel of just getting to here and feeling almost like the club just falls on the back of the ball, right? Like I'm not even putting any extra energy or effort into it. Just kind of let the downswing happen. And it really has been beneficial, I think, for my strike quality. I've just been hitting a lot of irons, more out of the center of the face, and, you know, just trying to keep everything pretty simple. Nice and balanced, right? I'm just out here swinging in sneakers. How to help with back pain from overswinging. So I can definitely speak to having experience with back pain. I've had debilitating back pain in the past and, you know, got as far as like cortisone shots and all kinds of physical therapy, trying to fix it. And the way that I fixed it ultimately was just with a lot of stretching and yoga, right? Trying to create space and strength in my back over time. So the first thing, you know, if your back's currently injured, then don't play golf, right? Also, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just speaking about my own experience, but yeah, I just did a lot of stretching, a lot of stuff like this, right? Where you're, you know, trying to keep your, you know, your hip flexors long, right? We, you know, a lot of us are sedentary, we sit a lot, so these hip flexors get super tight, right? So keeping some mobility and strength in there, you know, you can do all kinds of wiggly stuff to, you know, try to get some mobility back in those joints. That will really help your back. You know, also some, like I do this scorpion every day stretch, right, where I'm, you know, pushing up off the ground, really trying to, you know, get some bend in that lower back, right? So, you know, the overswinging part is different, right? You got to make sure that your body, you know, and your mobility is at a point where you can swing a golf club without, you know, causing too much stress, right? But we know that, you know, a lot of the early extension, right, this, you know, right hip going forward, that you got to, you know, tilt and side bend, right? That's all putting a lot of pressure on this lower back area, right? Think of like a Will Zalatoris type swing, right? Beautiful swing, you know, great timing, but that's why his back is has had so many issues, right? Because it's just there's so much pressure to getting into that kind of position, right? Whereas what I've been working hard on is trying to get more into a much more neutral position that lets my hips kind of rotate underneath and around my spine, right? So without putting all of that pressure this way and crunching with your back. So again, you know, just learning how to use your hips and your lower body to create space in your swing, right? What that feels like to maintain your spine angle, right? You can do, you know, things like this where you keep that club along your spine and then you just practice turning, right? Like that feels a lot different than what a lot of us do, which is go this way. See, I'm losing the club, Can't keep it on my back, right? So just turning like this, and and if you feel tightness, then you're working on identifying the areas that need improvement. Owen, shout out to Owens. Thanks for checking out the stream, Paul. Click said hi. Hey, Clicks. Damn, it's like 17 over here, which is 62. Ooh, I would take that in a heartbeat. I'm already cooking in here, guys. Maybe I need like a fan. Let's go, Tommy. What up, Nip Sauce? Whew. Shout out to Owens. If you guys are enjoying the stream like Owens and you want to hit that subscribe button, that would be sweet. And if you guys have questions you want me to run through, or other golf things that's on your mind, drop them in the chat. Tiny bit of a toe strike there. I didn't care for. Another drill that I've really been enjoying, guys, is this just hitting full shots with your feet together, right? And because I've been working a lot on my balance and engaging my lower body more in the swing, right? This is really good to work on, keeping everything working the way it should be. I just might have to get a fan or something in here. I mean, boy, it's cooking. Super Smoky from Fires. Grab the camera for a Lamar edit. I'm not sure I fully follow you, Extra Innings, but tell me more. Hook and pull, okay. It's 90 where I am, but Super Smoky from... Oh. Hi, John. I played with you a while back. Did you? You could be mistaking me for someone else, but maybe not. But definitely possible. It is very funny to see somebody be like, I know what that ball was going to do. Watching it on a camera be hit into a net. I wish I had the confidence to be able to diagnose somebody's swing that way. And then another good one, guys, that I've been working on, dropping this right foot back, and this really forces you to keep that space here with your pelvis, right? Not get going into the ball and extending. And that's giving me some really good feels. Right, really trying to push back into this left leg to keep that space, let the arms come through. Hey, Joshua's in here. Can't mistake that shit swing. Yeah, that's funny. If you put your hand in front of the camera, people will make edits of you. Like this. Curtis just picked up a set of TaylorMade P7 MC irons. Such a nice balanced club. That's awesome, Curtis. Those sound really nice. I've always liked the TaylorMade irons. I think I did that even wrong. I feel like you got to really... Joshua's our moderator. He's back in here. Joshua is a pro moderator is what I was led to believe. But yeah, Curtis, I've got these. These are old TaylorMade MBs. But these were what I was gaming before these Tacoma irons. Still got the rest of the heads in a box. But these are really pretty. Kind of looks like a butter knife when you put a Blade 3 iron down by the ball like that. Extra Innings said he subbed. That's amazing. Shout out to Extra Innings. If you guys are enjoying the stream and want to keep following along with what we're doing, hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. Curtis said, I love my old burners as well. Yeah, oh, that was an awesome era of golf equipment. Like, I remember the Aero burners and the Jet Speeds and a bunch of those clubs. That was maybe a little after the burners, but yeah, I remember one of my buddy's dads got the new burner driver, and we thought it was like gonna go instantly like 500 yards and, you know, dead straight. It was like the coolest golf club any of us had ever seen. The Blades are my new go-to. Very cool, Curtis. I'm up in New England. I've tried my mate's QI35. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever used. Yeah, the QI35s are really, really attractive. I kind of wish that I had upgraded all mine. I'm mostly in QI10s. But the 7-wood that I just got, new 7-wood, this is a QI35. And you're right, it is a very, very attractive piece of equipment, right? Just, you know, this is a 7-wood, so it's got a ton of loft. Super easy to hit, very forgiving. We've got this Dark Wave 70-gram X-Flex shaft in it. And this is a really cool piece of equipment. But I'm fully back on the head cover gang. Last year, I was playing just all my blades and not playing very good golf. The year before that, when I came second in the club championship in my club, I've been playing a bunch of hybrids and more head cover, you know, longer woods and stuff. And so I'm getting back to that. We've got this 5 hybrid in the bag again. I really need to do an updated what's in the bag, because I've probably got about like 17 clubs. 18 clubs that we've been rotating, you know, between the 2 iron and you know, 4 or 5 irons now with the 5 hybrid. So if I was ever going to play and it was super windy, maybe I'd put the irons back in, right? You know, put the 2 iron back in. But, you know, for everyday golf, like, I'm just going to hit it, you know, higher with more spin to get the same distance out of a club like this than I would, you know, maybe even a 4 iron. And yeah, I mean, this is just super easy to hit. Really forgiving club. But this is, yeah, QI10 on this one. C. Rich said TaylorMade's #1. Curtis, what's stiffness on the shaft? These are all X. This is a recoil F5 hybrid shaft. The other woods, so this one, like I said, is that Dark Wave. That was just whatever I could get off the rack. Did not get fit for the 7-wood, but the 3, 5, and driver, which I did get fit for, these are Oban Kiyoshi purple. You know, they get heavier as they go up, obviously, right? But it's like 65 in the driver, 75 and 85, I think. And the other ones, these are all X-Flex or 0.5 in the Kiyoshi purple. These are pretty cool. Like a Mace Windu lightsaber, if you will. Aging myself with my early 2000s Star Wars references, but that was pretty middled, that one. The Golf courses of Kenton County. Okay, that's a great shout. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Extra Innings, looking out for us to play some new courses. I've played Firestone, but that's the only golf. We played both North and South, I'm pretty sure. But that is the only golf in Ohio that I've played. Dylan says, how long have you been playing for? 20 years, give or take, but I didn't really start playing seriously till like high school. I'm in my 30s now. Solomon wants to know, I'm 6'3", use standard length for woods, hybrids, and driver. Do people get there? Yeah, so if you're 6'3", you might need extended clubs. A fitter would tell you that it depends on your wingspan as well, right? So if you have really long arms, you know, they might hang in a spot where standard length is okay, right? And it will also depend on, you know, what your natural posture is and how you stand to the ball, right? So the best answer, Solomon, is to go get fit, right? You know, get somebody who is trained and does this every day to say, well, based on, you know, not just your total height, but, you know, your swing and your skill level and, you know, all those kinds of things. You know, these are the clubs that will work best for you. But 6'3" is definitely getting to where, you might need some extended clubs. And those are relatively easy to find, or, you know, you can order those as well. Damn VIP. I'm fitted for irons, though +1. Okay, yeah, so that means you have some sense, you know, that you need that extra length. Damn VIP. Hello. Tom, you could be a mod too. I don't know how to... There we go. I don't know what mods do, but it's cool to have them. And I appreciate that people are like, hey, this is a cool stream. I want to, you know, keep checking it out. That was a little out of the toe. I didn't love the strike. All right, let me... Gavin says, I finally found someone that golfs. I do golf quite often. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I mean, it was out of the toes fractionally, but... Isaac says I just shoved. Shout out to Isaac. If you're a new subscriber and you subscribe today on the stream, just like Isaac did, drop it in there and we'll give you a shout out. Oh, that's going right. That's the one that's a tiny bit stuck, it feels. Just gotta keep... Yep, gotta keep the lower body moving. The projector screen is in here for other things. You know, watching movies or TV sometimes, or, you know, not related to the golfing situation that's happening here. Oh, that was nice. Touch them all, baby. That's as out of the center as I can hit this club. I solemnly swear to mod the best I've ever modded. Amazing. I don't know if you've ever even been a mod, Tom, or if that's what you were asking for. Maybe I misunderstood, but shout out to Tom from Scotland joining the moderator team, along with Joshua R. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Isaac for subscribing. I just went on Friday to my first golf course. That's amazing. Welcome to the mod family. It's getting lonely with no other mod. All right, so we'll probably keep it to one moderator, one new moderator per stream. How about that? Isaac says, I just went on Friday to my first golf course. That's amazing. Welcome to the golfing family. It's mostly a very supportive crew of people. I've really enjoyed, you know, getting to know a bunch of you guys through the stream. You know, occasionally you'll have the crazy, you know, internet kind of toxic stuff, and people need to get kicked out. So that's what the mods are for, I think. But no, it's honestly 99% has been super, super supportive and encouraging, and it really makes it easier to keep coming back and doing these streams, and knowing that people are gonna be supportive and hang out. All right, extra. All right, here we go. I can't golf because we're under heat advisor here. It's like 102. Yeah, we're getting close to that. It's going to be in the high 90s here this week, too. We're up in New England. Willie says launch monitor. Nope, not yet. I have a first generation Rapsodo MLM, but if you guys want to get on the horn to Rapsodo and tell them to sponsor the stream, I would absolutely set up an MLM 2 Pro and start getting some data, and we could set up some cool stuff with that. So if you guys follow Rapsodo and you want to, start tagging me in their videos, just be like, hey, you guys got to see this stream. Perfect candidate for a Rapsodo MLM Pro. What do you practice most? Good question, Dylan. What do I practice most? I probably practice ball striking the most, right? Whether that's in here, working on my swing, or at the range, hitting balls. After that, I would say putting, because I've been doing, this 30-day challenge where I've been hitting 50 putts every day in here. So then chipping last, which I need to do more of. And bunker play especially. My bunker play this year has been terrible. But I also am like, well, do you ever practice it? No. So, not surprising that it's not as sharp as it could be. Wow, it just feels so good with these new grips, guys. Like, I don't have to worry about, throwing the club, right? It's just everything feels super connected and where it needs to be. Extra Innings had a question about Top Flight full set. What should I upgrade first? I was thinking irons. And then ZW said hi. What's up, ZW? You're going to go to the putting course now, even though it was 103. 103 is hot. Yeah, make sure you stay hydrated, guys. You got to stay hydrated. Kimura is talking about donating. Oh, wow, that's amazing, Kimura. Thank you. But certainly don't donate your rent money to me, right? It's not that important. But yeah, we are monetized on the channel. Super cool, and that's all thanks to you guys, right? I mean, I know I've been consistent in doing streams, posting videos, and really trying to be engaged with doing this regularly, but none of it happens without you guys. So, John says, swing, I want to judge. Type says, what do you score on average? Average, I would say like mid-70s. My low score ever is 64. But yeah, recently I've been shooting in the well, I did shoot 68 last week. That was pretty fun. And then 76 most recently after that. So it's kind of all over the place. And man, I'll tell you what, that's 68. You always hate to be that guy, but I definitely left a few shots out there. Oh, shout out to Tom. Amazing. Okay, so Extra Innings wants to know, so the first thing that, if I were you, I would start with the ends of the bag, right? So putter and driver, I think that's where you will likely, especially driver, if you go from, a Top Flight kind of off-the-rack box set, right, that's, all through the bag, the same brand. I do think that, getting fit for, even if you just go to a big box store, go to a Golf Galaxy and say, hey, I'm in the market for a driver. Can I try some different ones? Can you help me, understand what might work best for me based on my skill level and how much I have time to play and practice, right? because I do think even as beginners, right, it's important to understand the driver is going to be a very important club as you continue improving and advancing your skill level, right? Being able to hit driver in play, number one, and number two, get it far down the fairway eventually, right? Isaac, do you stream every day? Nope, not every day currently, but I'd love to, hopefully soon. You guys have heard me talk about this on the stream before, some of you, but my wife and I recently bought our first home and are in the process of moving. So that has, understandably, taken a whole bunch of time that I might have otherwise been doing golf stuff or, practicing and playing. But that's a temporary thing, right? That's going to be great for us. And thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. John, I'm not going to drive it right now. We're not set up for that right now. You're right, driver's important. Yeah. We'll get there. Is the new QI 35 even good? So, Tatey baby, thank you very much for your donation. That's awesome. The only experience I have with it is in this 7 wood that I ordered. And I've had an awesome experience with it. It looks amazing. Aesthetically, it's everything I could want in a fairway wood. Even with, this is a 7 wood, right? It's got 21 degrees of loft. For me, to my eye, I mean, that's going to always be kind of hard to look at, right? But it's just a very high-performance club. Even on the mishits I found, it really isn't all that punishing. So I've had a really positive experience with it. All drivers made from 2015 onwards are good. Yeah, I agree with Tom. That's a great point, Tom. You guys have heard me say this before a bunch, but just because companies are saying every 12 months, like, hey, here's some brand new fancy, hey, we move these weights from here to here, please give me $500 for a new driver, right? A lot of these clubs are still very good, and you can get started in golf and start building a bag of clubs, with pretty decent, solid, used equipment from, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and not really be giving up a whole bunch compared to dropping thousands of dollars on brand new equipment, right? We all know how, range balls are getting more expensive, greens fees are getting more expensive, right? You don't need to spend a ton of money on brand new clubs, right? You don't even need 14 clubs, right, guys? If you're really just getting started, you're saying, hey, I want to go to the range and start learning golf. This is interesting to me, starting to play, or maybe you have friends who play and you want to join them, right? You can pick up a driver and a putter, a couple irons, right? Maybe an 8-iron and a 5-iron and a wedge, and be well on your way, right? Grab 4, 5, 6 clubs. You can start building your skills. You can learn drills, start building the fundamentals and understanding, what do I need to do to get this ball to go where I want, right? John, are you only hitting an 8-iron? I know this is pitching wedge that I'm hitting, but we were hitting some hybrids before. John seems very concerned that we hit some drivers, so we'll try that. Ugh. See, this is what I don't have a good way to keep these in the same spot every time, but we should be able to not kill somebody. Shout out to John, getting the big stick out. See, next thing you know, I'm going to get the PRGR out, and then I'm going to be swinging, as fast as I can, trying to do speed work that I'm not fully prepared for. But he's right. It's fun to hit driver. Driver is my favorite club. How did you... Okay, let me catch up here. My guy, shout out to John. How did you build your mat? So this is pretty basic, guys. This is just some cheap. Oh my goodness. Superstars. Hi. Dogs are always up to something. Okay, so the mat, guys. This is just a pretty basic, you know, Maxfly Dick's Sporting Goods mat with some 2x4s that I built a little box, and then underneath is gym foam tiles. You know, the ones that interlock together. Like if you were gonna build a home gym, you'd put some of those mats down to not, you know, destroy your floor. So stack some of those up underneath to build it up, and then screw the mat in on top of it. There's a piece of plywood underneath to just, you know, make it a full thing. And yeah, I mean, obviously this, you know, the hitting mat hasn't held up all that well, but it was, you know, I don't think ever intended to be a long-term solution. Grab the camera with your left hand for an edit. All right, so just like this, just like. Shout out to Jensen. You could drill a little hole in your mat to push a longer range tee through so you don't have to set up every time. Doggo channel mascot, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think, again, the goal with building the mat was to get it up off the ground, give it some padding underneath, right? So that I wasn't just slamming, you know, irons into the ground. And I noticed even the first few times I did that before I got this built, you know, it takes a big toll on your hands and your wrists to just be, you know, accepting all that force from the ground when you're, you know, hitting the club with it, right? All right, so I think I saw a question. Dylan wants to know, what do you feel in the downswing with driver? So I try to feel like I'm just letting my arms and the club unwind. I don't try to feel much of anything in the downswing, right? My feels are all kind of takeaway and backswing focused, right? Because the downswing happens so quickly. I'm not trying to do anything super intentional, right? If I've, you know, made a good backswing and set up properly to hit the shot that I want to hit, and I hit the center of the face, and I should get a good result, right? So if anything, my downswing thought would be kind of staying balanced, not getting, you know, too ahead of it, and just staying in a good sequence, right? But just trying to get to a spot like this where I could just stand here for an hour and just hang out, right? You couldn't really push me over. I'm pretty balanced, right? Hit him with the twirl if you hit it good. What? This is X-Flex John. 05 Flex. This is the Oban Kiyoshi purple shaft. Youth on Course to Try. Cheap membership that gives you access to affordable courses. That's awesome. Shout out to Extra Innings for spreading the good word. Oh, here you go. It's right on there. Okay, real question. Weight shift with driver. Where do you feel your weight, or what direction are you pushing with your lead foot? So I'm always trying to feel like I'm pushing away from the golf ball, right? Trying to create space and generate speed, right? When we're pulling, and, you know, again, the idea is to coil this energy, get the club, you know, that energy into the club, and then transfer it from the club into the ball, right? All the ball cares about is impact. And to do that, right, you're kind of pushing this way in the backswing, coiling, and then to uncoil, you're pushing, right? That's why when you see guys like Kyle Berkshire or some of these really high-speed guys, Bryson, when they're pushing, their left foot might even land in a different spot, right, where they're really, boom, like opening up, pushing off of the ground, using that ground force to generate speed. And I've noticed, you know, when I do speed sessions and stuff, you know, you start, it just sort of naturally happens, right? When you're pushing that hard, you end up coming off the ground and, you know, you're landing somewhere kind of to the left of where that left foot started. I'm Cray. John said, I slice my driver no matter what I do. Any tips on how to fix this slice? When should you move from cavity back to player improvement irons? So I think irons are really going to be personal preference. Okay, Cray, so when you're slicing the driver, right, what I want you to do, grab a head cover. I've got the driver out, so I'll use my driver head cover. And if you're slicing, right, that means the face is open and that path is somewhat across the ball this way. Right, that's going to produce that high spin shot that cuts to the right and it doesn't go very far. Right, we want the opposite. We want that path more neutral and that face more closed so that ball starts, down our target line and doesn't curve all that much. Right, so you need to get the face more closed and the path more neutral. Right, so what I'd have you do is drop this head cover down just behind the ball to the right, like this, right? And if you make the swing that's going to produce that slice, right, where maybe the takeaway is a little inside, and then you're over the top this way, right, your path to the ball will be blocked by that head cover. You won't be able to get to the ball, right? So when you set that up there, and make sure, again, it's slightly behind and just to the right here, this is going to force you to adjust the path, right? And as soon as you can get the face closed, you'll see that ball maybe drawing a little bit, and certainly flying much straighter, right? Because you need to be approaching from the inside like that, right? And you'll notice that head cover didn't move. You're going to produce a much more neutral path that way. So give that a try. Yeah, shout out to you, Extra Innings, right? That's what the mods are for. I think if people comment inappropriate things, then I trust you guys to get rid of them. How can I stop standing up when I used to always checking? Oh, chunk for years, way behind the ball. Now I stand up on my follow through. Okay, so Garrett, the chunk, right, when you're chunking it, hitting behind the ball, it's important to understand that just means the low point is too far behind, right? And low point control or ground contact, this is one of our key fundamentals for hitting good irons, right? So I'll demonstrate here. I just grabbed an 8 iron. And, right, if we make a backswing and our weight stays or shifts back, right, what's going to happen? We're going to hit the ground back here. So what you're doing by standing up, right, is you're trying to get that low point further forward. But the problem really is that your weight is stuck back here. If I make that same backswing and I don't shift my weight, I can get to the ball, right? But I'm not going to really compress it. I might kind of scoop it or hit it low on the face. What do we really want to do? We want to make that same backswing and then shift the weight forward in transition, right? And then boom. Look, I can really, boom, deliver a lot of force down into that ball to compress it and get it flying towards, through the air, right? So the standing up part is a correction or a symptom of, that weight being too far back, right? So you could practice dropping your foot back like this, right? Really trying to feel like there's more weight forward and like you're practicing, getting it forward in transition. So some step drills could be really helpful, adding some motion into it, right? To really feel like, boom, I got to get off this back foot and into here and pushing down into my left heel to get that strike, that low point more where it needs to be. And then from there, right, you shouldn't need to stand up because you'll be in a good position to maintain that spine angle, right? Not go this way, but just stay here and turn. Do you do anything different weight shift-wise with driver than irons? For me, I feel with irons, I'm more in front of the ball to get good compression and divot. Yeah, exactly, John Randolph. I agree with that. How do I hit it farther as an 11-year-old? I hit it 170. Okay, so if I'm not a junior coach per se, but I, as a currently old person, was once a young person. And if you're in that age, right, 10, 11, 12, 13, really, anything until you're like an adult, right? I wasn't like fully grown, quote unquote, until I was 17. So my golf and my ability to produce speed changed a lot from when I was, even starting high school. I started high school at like 5'3" and 110 pounds, and I graduated at 6 feet and 180 pounds. So that's number one, right? Don't be too worried. Like, man, I really can't hit it that far. It's like, well, it's hard to be patient, but you will get bigger and stronger as you grow. So that's number one. But beyond that, right, if you want to hit it further, there's two choices. You can swing it faster. That means more club head speed. So, lifting weights, doing speed training, finding a way to make the club move more quickly, to put more energy into the ball. That's option one. Option two is optimize your launch conditions for the speed that you do have, right? So that means you're launching your driver at, 13, 14 degrees with spin in the low 2000s, something like that, right? So that's how you can get the most amount of carry distance out of the current speed you have. I agree with golf time. How do I hit further? So we just talked about that. You're welcome, Garrett. Mainly in irons, do you think grip is as important as footwork? I'm interested in mid-size thickness grip. So Shart Sauce is a funny name. So I was just talking about this. I started the year with standard size grips, and that's what I played for a long time. And a friend of mine was like, dude, just try some mid-size grips. I mean, nobody, good players are mostly using bigger grips. Like, just give it a try. And I finally did. And I really, really liked it. And I had those for the last, 4 or 5 months. And I was like, you know what? I think I need even more of this. So I just, on the stream actually the other night, re-gripped all my clubs. Put some extra tape under the right hand so there's not a whole bunch of taper in here. And then slapped on some jumbo grips. So I think it's definitely worth a try. Like, why not just, try something new if you're interested in trying it. What are some good speed training drills? So there's, I've heard of, a few different approaches, right? I have this overspeed system that's called Super Speed that has these weighted clubs, and there's a protocol where you, there's a light, a medium, and a heavy, and you swing them both right and left-handed, which is interesting, for a certain amount of times, and there's a launch monitor that they also sell so you can track your progress. There's also one called the Stack. There are some that I've seen that can just, it's like a weight thing that screws into your driver adapter, right? So you would take your driver head off and use the shaft as an actual, like a speed trainer. So that's one option, right? Is like a specific system for building speed. Another option that I've done myself in the past is, when you're at the driving range, could be your last, 20, 25, 30 balls. But if you want to do speed training, right, you could, just use your driver like a workout, right? And say, I'm going to make 30 swings as fast as I can, right? Ideally, you'd have some way to measure that with either a launch monitor or, a speed training system, right, to know kind of what your baseline is, and you can track your progress over time. But you can also just practice swinging really fast, right? Just, say, okay, I'm going to swing at 100% and feel what that feels like. And then you're just trying to each rep tell your body, okay, a little bit faster than that last one, right? Just a little bit faster, just a little bit faster. And you just really, try to see, like, your body eventually is going to start telling you, like, what it needs to do to produce more speed, right? That could be, more turn into your right hip, right, to really load this way. It could be letting your left foot come off the ground, right? That's something I noticed, as a way you can generate more speed, right, to increase that turn, right? So a couple different approaches for more speed. Picked Clean says, great job with the consistent content. Thanks very much. These streams bring great coaching points. Thanks. Oh, I appreciate that, Picked Clean. Very nice comment. I appreciate that very much. I'm just, like you guys, trying to get better. Not only at, my own game, but get better at answering these questions and presenting, and understanding these ideas for people, right? And shout out to you guys. I mean, seriously, all the support, all the nice comments really does make it that much easier for me to, continue showing up to do this stuff. And you guys got the channel monetized, which is crazy. We're coming up on 2,500 subscribers, only a few months into doing YouTube. Oh, that wasn't hit very well, was it? Woo! Whoa, shout out to Pick Clean with an amazing donation. Thanks, my dude. Okay, Perry, favorite set of irons all time? Probably Mura Baby Blades. I've only hit them once. And I don't think I would game them. But they are probably the most aesthetically attractive iron that I've ever hit or seen with my eyes. And the funny thing is that I think the guy who I knew that had them and let me hit them, he was like a 12 handicap. I don't think he had any business hitting those clubs, but yeah. There's a Callaway MB iron from like 2010 that I thought was really, really, really attractive. Benny Boom shot 74 today. It was hot and some cash. Amazing. That's sweet, dude. Bringing home the money, right? It's always good to walk off 18 with a tiny bit more cash in your pocket than when you started. That's fun. And 74 is a good number. Good playing, dude. 124, that's okay. Don't worry about your scores. Again, when you're that age, you're just still working on building your skills. You're growing. Greg says it's a nice smooth swing. I want to be able to do that with time. Yeah, just keep practicing, Greg, right? That's, one of the main objectives that I have in producing this content, and not just sharing the knowledge that I've acquired about like the golf swing and how to get better at golf, and translating some of that stuff into life stuff, but also just like motivation wise, right? I think it's important to see and hear people be like, yeah, I started here and then I did X, Y, and Z and I got to a better place and I improved at something. I know that when I see those kinds of things, it motivates me. So, trying to, bring some of that to the internet. There's plenty of scary, negative stuff, right? Turn on the news and the first thing you'll see is like, wow, seems pretty bleak out there. Right? But, maybe by turning the camera on and just creating a space where people can ask questions and hang out and feel, comfortable, and give people a break from like all the crazy stuff out there. I mean, that really is the point, right? Solid content shared with father and brother-in-law. Oh, amazing. Shout out to Garrett. That's sweet. Yeah, I mean, if you guys, if everybody shared shared this with one person, that would be amazing. Also, before I forget to say it, I should put the link in the description or something, but we started an Instagram page. So if you're watching right now and you're enjoying this, go over to Instagram, hit that follow button for me. Because as I'm learning, I probably should have started doing these in tandem, right, when I started on YouTube, but I don't know, I guess I never thought of it, or it felt like it would be duplicative, but I realize there is, some differences and different audiences and things like that. So anyway, go check us out on Instagram too if you guys are on there. But don't worry, we're going to keep posting primarily here on YouTube, doing these live streams on YouTube. I just started playing. That was my first time. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, 124 is not good, but like, again, what is, good, bad, otherwise? Shout out to Pick Clean, seriously, amazing. Yeah, I mean, again, if it's your first time on the golf course, you should be more worried about having fun and, being like, well, can I learn some etiquette stuff? Can I, start to get a feel for the rhythm of playing outside and all that sort of stuff, right? you're not going to, start posting great scores the first time you're on the golf course. Any tips on hitting my irons further besides speed? So, again, other than speed, right, make sure that you are striking the ball cleanly in the center of the club face consistently, right? And with the irons, we want to make sure that we are delivering some shaft lean, right, the handle forward at impact, right? We're de-lofting that club and some amount of descending angle, right? Those are the key things that we're looking for with the irons. So to practice that, what I would recommend is I have an 8-iron here, right? And on the driving range, when I'm doing this drill, I'd be trying to hit this club, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 yards, right? Not 150, 160, 170. I'm just going to make little half swings, and I'm really going to focus on, like I said, those key contact fundamentals, making sure that I'm striking the center of the face, I'm compressing that ball nicely, right? And it's flying pretty straight towards my target. And this is a really, really good way to speed up that improvement process, right? When you're talking about skill development, you want to separate those into, full speed execution and building the skills of like delivering the club at impact, in the center and hitting it straight, right? So golf will get much easier once you start practicing at slower speed and hitting these smaller shots. And I feel pretty strongly that that is true throughout the bag, right? So if you're saying, hey, I'm struggling to hit the center of the face with my driver, well, one thing I might tell you is make some little half swings and just try to hit 10 in a row all out of the center of the face. They might go like 60 yards. Who cares, right? You're trying to practice within the context of your own feels and your own swing. How do I get the center of this club face onto that ball? Shout out to Greg. Thanks very much, Greg. Okay, so Hollywood. So that's what I was just talking about would be my advice for beginners, right? Learn impact and then work backwards. Putt King, getting old. Hybrids becoming a bigger part of my game. Me too, Putt King. Love watching your vid. Shout out to you, Putt King. RST said hi. Paul, did you manage to hit a draw and a fade with that finger? I keep catching you when you only have a few balls left to hit. Oh, don't worry, Paul. I appreciate all the support. I've been working on in my own game primarily, at least the intent of hitting almost every shot left to right. It's more natural for me. I've played my best golf historically playing a fade. I can just produce it more consistently. But Paul, I love that feel of using that indicator, right? Of being like, okay, that's where the club face is. Right? And just feeling like that's, okay, I got to get that back to square. Because as you guys have heard me talk about before, I don't really like to feel or have a lot of, face rotation relative to the path in my swing. I'm trying to keep that face as square to the path as I possibly can all the way through. And just, for everybody else, what Paul and I have been talking about is using this left index finger here, right, as a good indicator to feel where that club face is pointed. John, what's the crack? We played a few rounds of golf a few weeks back. We didn't, but that's okay, Mark. I have those same Golf Pride grips. Awesome. If you grip it in that finger, I will always return square at impact. Yeah, awesome. John says, interesting. I'm the exact opposite. I draw my irons mostly. Again, I think as long as it's consistent, what I've learned about golf strategy and trying to simplify things, right, is playing one shot shape. Or again, I'm going to hit some off the toe and they're going to turn some, right? But I'm not intentionally trying to hit draws out on the golf course. But again, I think as long as you can center your shot pattern around your target, that's what's most important, right? Whether it's right to left or left to right, we all know a draw is going to spin less and go further. A fade will spin more and go shorter. typically also going to fly, a little bit higher, right? So it all depends on, your own swing mechanics, your body, right? What feels best for you getting the club back to square. Getting your subbies. Yeah. No, it is crazy to me, guys. I mean, I don't know. My expectations were, when I started on YouTube in January, whoa, that ball's out of here. I thought if I posted every day and was really consistent, and that was before I really knew about live streaming or, doing anything like that, I thought maybe I could have 1,000 subs at the end of the year. So to be, more than double past that goal. Like I said, the channel's already been monetized, which is crazy. I'm so grateful, right? I mean, it really is, it's motivating, it's validating, it really makes me want to just do this more and more and more. Keep doing streams, keep making videos. Demir, nice tips. Thanks very much. That's funny. I've never seen these people in my life, but they're like, we play golf with you. I've never met anybody who says the word Muppet. No, John Rand, don't. I mean, these are internet trolls, right? This is what happens. I've never seen these people in my life. Who's my favorite golfer? Well, all time Tiger Woods, right? I was born in the early 90s, grew up all through the, my, getting obsessed with golf was all driven by watching Tiger just do insane things in the early 2000s. So that's always going to be 1-1 for me. But if you said pick a current player, right, somebody who's currently competing and playing on the PGA Tour, I'd probably pick Ludwig. I love his golf swing. I love how fast he plays. He's very, committed. I think there's a lot of really good things to come for that guy. Just made a fire-ass playlist for my dad's wedding. Oh, that sounds really fun, Tom. Shout out to Extra Innings for being a moderator. Pick Clean says, what launch monitor do you use? So I don't have one set up in here currently with the net. I do have a PRGR monitor that I'll use for club head speed stuff. Let me see where I've put that. And I do also have a first generation, not the new one, not the MLM2 Pro, but I do have a Gen 1 Rapsodo MLM. I used that a bunch when I first got it, but frankly, I wasn't that impressed with how good it was. But again, it was the Generation 1, so hopefully the second one's better. Came back to a civil war. What's going on, chat? Trolls are happening. My handicap right now is 1 point something. Usually it's in the, I played most of last year off of +1, between +1 and 0. And then it's gone up a little bit at the start of this year to around 1. So hoping to get that back down. And like I said, the goal for the end of this year is +2 or better, or +2.5, I think I said, which is, I mean, that's going to be a lot of work to get there, but Tiger or Jack? I'm going to say Tiger if I had to pick one. Adam Scott has a really nice swing. Yeah, great actor too, Adam Scott. Yeah, shout out to Adam Scott from Step Brothers, one of the best movies of its time. Yeah, I love Adam Scott's swing. Right, really just a carbon copy of that Tiger from 2000 swing. I mean, there's tons of great swings out there. I mean, if Adam Scott had used the broomstick early in his career, or had really committed to his putting earlier on, I think he would have won more. I mean, it's obviously easy to say, but also, I mean, the club head speed and the ball speed that he was producing at the U.S. Open for a, I think 44, 45-year-old guy, that was super impressive. Like mid 180s. Garrett's at 1.7. That's very good. Severance was so good too. Yeah, I love Severance. Really will put your mind in a pretzel. Pick Clean says, I'm using the Garmin R10, testing against the local TrackMan, pretty solid. Spin rates. We're in as consistent distance and direction. We're really close. That's awesome. You need a launch monitor. I agree. Oh, RST. Shout out to you. Amazing. Thank you for the donation. That's very cool. Can you recommend a good target to justify upgrading my irons? So I think if you need if you're somebody who's like, hey, I really need a goal, something to work towards, I would say 15. Right? If you get down to like a 15, 16 handicap, then I think that's the point where you could say, okay, I've started to develop some ball striking skills. I'm pretty consistently at least, getting the ball up in the air and it's carrying, it's somewhat consistent distance. I think that's around the time when most people would think about saying, okay, maybe I'll get fit for some clubs or try to get something a little newer. But my general thought is that if you're a 30 handicap, then there's a whole bunch of things that will help you improve and lower your handicap before getting new equipment. So hopefully that helps, RST. Adams S is good, but bottle is questionable. Yeah, shout out to RST. Everybody go like that. You get a like and a heart if you donate to the stream. That's amazing. Sunday Adrenaline had Scott in the mid 180s. Very impressive for his age. I agree. Garrett says, I'm on course playing right now. Wow, that's awesome. I'm jealous. Smokey wants to know, is the net worth it? The net is definitely worth it. This is the Net Return Pro Series. It's certainly I think it's $695. So that's a premium price, right? There's obviously, cheaper, lower quality versions available. I got to get them to sponsor the stream too, right? I get so many questions about what net we're hitting into. And the only thing, so it's a premium price, but I feel very confident saying I could use this net for the next decade, right? I could take it apart, pack it up. I'm going to do that pretty soon here. And it will last for a long time. It feels very high quality. I don't think if I had gone a cheaper route that I wouldn't have been, coming back a year or two later to then, eventually buy the higher quality one. So it is a bit of a, buy once, cry once type of deal. But for me, I mean, I'm somebody who, I love the ability to come out here and hit balls basically whenever I want. Work on my game at 10 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning whenever I do have time. It's about 95 here in North Carolina. Yeah, I bet. It's about 95 here in New England, too. Grew up on Tiger to only ever be Tiger. I agree with John. I just got here. What are you hitting? This is an 8-iron that we've got at the moment. Michael says, I just started hooking the ball left really bad. I think it's because I can't keep my face square. I'm closing it. Any tips for keeping the face square? Yeah, so if the face is closed, if the face is too closed, you need to get it more open, right? I saw JT doing this drill recently. Right, so what you could do is exaggerate that movement, right? So some sort of opening the face on the way back, right? Really trying to feel like you're getting some more loft at impact, right? You could work on, trying to hit some high fades, right? If you're hitting those low hooks, just, give yourself a task orientation and say, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to produce and change in my swing to get that high, left to right shot to come out? That can be a really good way to move things around. Do you have cavity backs? Yeah, these are the 301 CB irons from Tacomo. These are really good. Natalie says, hello from Pennsylvania. Welcome, Natalie, to the stream. Control wants to know how much was the net setup. So the net itself was like $695, and then this was probably another $250 all in, you know, between the mat and the wood and stuff. Push your hands forward a little. That'll open the face without doing anything. Yeah, Garrett, exactly right. Louis wants to know how to fix early extension. Good question. I've been fighting this myself. Right, so early extension, guys, if you're not familiar, right, is when the swing gets a little bit steep and, you know, potentially, right, if your takeaway's inside and then over the top this way, well, to get back to the ball and hit it properly, what do we have to do? We have to extend our hip this way and tilt side bend back this way, right, to be able to get to the ball. This, you know, is not a very efficient way to hit the ball. It produces a lot of strain on your back and your hips, right? So I've been working on this myself. So a few things. Slow motion reps or not even hitting balls are your friend, right? You've got to really learn at slow speed. What does it feel like to keep that space, right? Fixing my takeaway helped a bunch, right? If your takeaway's inside, you're always going to end up getting a little bit steep just to get back to the ball, right? That's, you know, extension is more of a symptom, right? You're trying to fix the earlier error. So if you create a lot more width in the takeaway, give yourself more space, right? You don't need to extend because that space is already there. Some specific drills that I've been doing that have really helped. I like this one a lot, where you drop the right foot back, right? And what you're trying to train yourself to do is to maintain this width, right, and this space in your pelvis. It's going to make it really hard to get going this way. Right, and you can hit shots just like this and really feel like, okay, I stayed put, and I even maybe, I'm pushing back into that lead hip some. Another drill that I really like to feel that will just help you understand the sequencing, right, is grab the club just in your lead arm, right, left hand if you're a right-handed player. And what you're going to do is hold the club out in front of you and make a swing with just this lead arm, while taking a step forward towards the target, right? And so you're just going to make some swings like this, and it will really help your body feel like, what does that sequence need to feel like? I need that time in transition, right? The hips are going early, and then the club is following. And when you swing the club this way, you're never going to early extend because it wouldn't make any sense, right? Your body's not going to go, oh, we got to go this way to then do that, right? So this can be a really good way to just feel keeping those hips back and the sequencing. So give that a try, Louie. Smokey wants to know, are the Takomo irons actually good? I think they actually are. Yeah, I really have. I've had a good experience with them. Turn your body. Are divots necessary? Not necessary, but I think it does. A divot is a sign that you are, hitting the ball first and on a descending angle. So not necessary, but good structure and good space in the backswing, space depth and downswing gets really good face stability. Yeah, I agree, James, right? It's all about having time. I see all the pros take chunks out of the earth. Yeah, again, there is a lot of de-lofting happening, with just the speed that those guys are swinging it, right? So they're going to sometimes take those big divots. But it's not essential, right? John wants me to hit one 100%. Well, this is kind of what 100% looks like these days, guys. It's still pretty smooth, right? I'm just trying to let the club almost fall on the back of the ball, right? I mean, for an 8-iron, that'll go like 165 yards, and I don't have to feel like I'm absolutely, stepping on it or like I'm going to do anything that's going to cause the face to get out of whack. Oops. Yeah, that swing looks really good. One of the nice things about the live is I can just kind of run it back and then see. What ranges do you hit your irons? Oh, do you mean like distance-wise? What sim do you use? No sim in here, just the net. We don't maybe someday we'll get Rapsodo or Foresight or somebody to sponsor the channel. We'll get a launch monitor in here set up. That 100%. Yeah. Yeah, pretty close. I mean, again, it just, I don't, like, looking or feeling like I'm going to swing it harder. Here, we can do that. We can swing a driver like 110% for you guys. Can you swing one? Oh, 20,000%. All right, yeah, Tom. Tom's exactly right. We'll do a 20,000% swing, and you guys can judge. So you saw 100% with an 8-iron. This is 20,000%. That swing was really good. Thanks, John. Okay, oh, let me answer Smokey really quick. So distance-wise, so you were saying like stock yardages on the golf course. Pitching wedge like 140, 9-iron 155, maybe 150. 8-irons like 165, 175, 180 for 7-iron. You know, 190 for 6-iron, and then that 5 hybrid goes like 205. 7 woods like 225, 5 woods 245. 3 wood I really only hit off the tee, so that's probably like 270, and then driver total will go, you know, 295. All right, so here for you, Tom, and for everybody else, 20,000% speed. That was actually hit pretty solidly for how completely out of control and insane that swing was. Woo! Everyone wants you on the scramble team. Yeah, yeah. Usually scrambles are good when you're low index. Everything else gets super tough though. Like I remember last year playing in a tournament, a net tournament, and I was playing off +1, and I almost made a hole-in-one. I hit it to like 2 feet on a long par 3, which was the easiest hole on the course, and tapped in for a 3 in the tournament, right? Because I was hitting 2 off the tee and then tapped in for a 3, right? So I made a birdie on my own ball, but it counted as a 3 for the tournament. It's like, I don't know if this is very fun. All right, let's see this massive swing. Yeah, tripping over. Edward, my brother in Christ, did you see that last swing? Oh, that's so funny. Okay, Dylan wants to know how to work on tempo. So tempo, the drill that I've been doing the most, right? And tempo, what I think about that, right, is really allowing the club to transition, right? I used to have terrible tempo because I would get up to the top and I go, okay, time to swing. Let's rip this handle down and then get everything else out of the way. And it was not particularly attractive, right? So what I've learned is that club needs time to transition from the backswing into the downswing, right? So I had to learn to feel almost like I was making a Hideki Matsuyama swing, almost like I was getting to the top and pausing for half a second, right? And so to accomplish that, you can work on the freezer drill. I really like this drill where you make a backswing. I'm going to take it to the top and almost do like a double pump, right? I'm going to force my hands up there to stay there. And then this will really teach you good sequencing, right? By just forcing yourself to hold that club up at the top for a second, right? You can really learn what it feels like to give that club the proper time to set and then transition. Nick says, you got Grant Horvat tempo. I don't know about that. He's got really nice tempo. But yeah, it's something that I've worked on a whole bunch, guys. So it doesn't, it takes time. It's a specific skill that you got to work on in your swing, right? Meat Rookie just popping in. Shout out to Meat Rookie. So the tempo, again, it's hard, guys. You really got to practice on it. And again, I feel in my swing, it feels to me almost like that club is completely stopping at the top. And then I watch on video, and it looks like it's just very fluid, right? The tempo's gotten a lot better, but the feel versus real thing is especially notable in this area, I think. Like, I'm feeling like this club is almost not moving for a while, right? And then you watch it back, and you're like, no, dude, it's kind of just slowly transitioning the way you want it to. So give that freezer drill a try. Right, and you can do it at slow speed too. If you're struggling at full speed, you can just make little half swings and practice that way too. Right, so all these drills are scalable. Nothing needs to be done at full speed. I would argue that you'll make a lot more progress more quickly if a lot of your practice is done at less than full speed. Right, so if you're out there saying, I want to hit my irons better, I want to hit them, you know, straighter and more consistently, right, just hit some shots like this, right? You got to build those skills of impact. Learn impact and then work backwards. That's all the golf ball cares about. What's up, Meat Rookie? I didn't even know I had a tempo problem, but watching you explain it, I can see me doing this. When I force myself to relax more, not to focus on the swing, I hit much better. Yeah, I agree with that, right? I've been really trying myself when I'm out playing. The last time I played, I hit the ball really well. I didn't score particularly well, but I was hitting it great, I felt. And I was almost just making these, it felt to me like slow motion, right? Like I was just making a really smooth backswing and just dropping the club on the ball. Right? And just be very balanced and smooth, and guess what? The ball was going just as far as before. You know, when I was really feeling like I was working hard and trying to produce a bunch of speed. And I think it's so counterintuitive that it almost makes perfect sense. Yeah, the slow motion feeling, exactly. Edward wants to see the clubs. All right, so these are the Takomo irons that we've got. We've got these in pitching wedge through 6 iron at the moment. I've got Vokey wedges. These are SM8s. Could probably do for an upgrade on these, but I really like them, so we've kept them around. Those are 52, 56, and 60 degrees. We kind of started in the middle, and then we'll loop our way around. Then from there, I've got a 5 hybrid. Well, I do have the 4 and 5 irons from the Takomo set, too. I just haven't had these in the bag recently, but again, really attractive high-performance clubs. So that's, yeah, so then a QI10 5 hybrid. This guy. 7 wood. This is a QI35 with this Darkwave 70X Mitsubishi shaft in it. This is really nice. I love this club. Then we've got 3 and 5 woods that are older. These are Stealth 2 3 and 5 woods, but got the cool Oban purple shafts in them, just like the driver. These are Stealth 2s, yep. And then the driver is a QI10 Max with the same Oban purple shaft in it. It's overdue. I really need to do an extended what's in the bag and post that on the channel. These are CBs, Nick, the Takomo irons. So not quite a blade, but it's still a forged club, right? None of those speed pockets or anything. I used to play blades. I played those 2011 TaylorMade MBs for a really long time with these same shafts. These are C-Taper 125. I think these are S Plus Flex. So I just pulled those and put them in Takomo irons. John wants me to hit the 4 iron. We can do that. We can try hitting the 4 iron. I will practice sometimes too. This is the 3 iron from that old blade set. So this is what I was playing. These are the 2011 TaylorMade MBs. Right, not a lot of offset, really, you know, thin top line, true blade. I played these for a long time. I really liked them, but I just knew that, you know, some amount of extra forgiveness, a tiny bit more perimeter weighting on those, you know, the couple swings around that aren't really well struck, you know, can be the difference between carrying a front bunker or not. Can be the difference between, you know, carrying a hazard or not. So yeah, I can hit the 4-iron. That was hit really nicely, actually. The difference is, compared to like the hybrid or a 7-wood, I just, especially for hitting into, you know, par 3s and par 5s, right? You know, on par 4s, I'm not going to be hitting 4 and 5 irons in almost ever. Right, so, you know, hitting into those long par 3s and par 5s, you want something that's going to come in high and soft with some spin. And as satisfying as it is to hit a 4-iron, you know, really nicely, right, on a long enough horizon, I'm going to hit more hybrids and lofted woods better, right? So still fun clubs to practice, you know, really can help you dial in the ball striking. I'm buying my first wood. What wood would you say is most important, most used wood in your bag? So for me, the one that I use the most is probably the 5-wood. That goes like 240, 250, and that's oftentimes like a pretty good, like, you know, like where fairways start to narrow or where hazards are. So I find myself hitting the 5-wood the most. I think the 7-wood is awesome, though. I've really been a huge fan of just having that loft. That 4 was great contact. Yeah, I agree with you, Hollywood. Shout out to Hollywood. Were you ever fitted, and what was your experience with that? Good question, Pick Clean. So I definitely was fitted for the woods and the driver, and I was fit for those iron shafts a long time ago. And I've pulled them in, you know, the shafts and put them in some different irons over the years. So like mostly yes, I want to say. But if, you know, TaylorMade or Titleist is like, hey, we really need John Young in our stable of content people, and we're going to get you fit for the whole bag, I would do that. I don't feel any... I mean, I've had great success in a lot of, you know, high-quality equipment from TaylorMade over the years, but I think they're all pretty good, guys. Ping makes great stuff. A lot of guys are playing the Ping woods now. If I didn't play TaylorMade woods, I'd probably play Titleist just from an aesthetic perspective. I really, really like that traditional Titleist shape. You hit 5-wood to my 3-wood driver distance. That's okay, right? You know, different skill levels, different speeds. I already have a 5-iron. Would you recommend getting a 5 hybrid or a 4? Well, again, Axel, it depends on like what your goal is, right? If you say your 5-iron goes 180 yards and you want to get a club that goes 200, right? You could try some, you know, some different hybrids and try to get a club that goes to that distance with the, you know, the height and spin that you want. Handicap right now is 1. Tell me about it. One of the hardest shots for me is hitting a wood out of the rough. I see the pros do it, but I never catch it clean. Well, it's going to be very hard to hit a wood out of the rough. The only things that I would tell you to make it easier, right? You can try opening up that club face a little bit. You know, more loft out of the rough is going to be your friend, right? So I'll pull a lot of times if I'm trying to hit a wood out of the rough or really, you know, advancing it on a par 5 maybe, I'll hit the 7-wood. And sometimes it comes out really low, right? Even though it has a ton of loft on it. Because it's just, you need that loft to get the ball up out of the grass, right? So another way to do that would be, say you had your 3-wood, right? You could open that face some and then grip it, right? And almost, it's gonna feel almost like you're hitting like a flop shot or a big slice, right? But open that face and really, you know, just hit down on the back of the ball. You're trying to get it up and out of that rough. But again, the reason you see pros do it is the more speed you have, the easier it gets too. JB said hi. What's up, JB? JB asked, do you ever hit driver off the deck? I definitely have. I've practiced it some. It's a good drill, I think, for contact sometimes. But no, not on the golf course. I've not hit driver off the deck for a long time. Somebody help Edward. Do you have any tips on hitting 3-woods? Good question, Gavin. So I'll grab my 3-wood. So my main tip for these longer woods, especially if you're trying to hit them off the deck, right, is that contact and really hitting the center of the face is going to be so important. Edward, we answered that already. Okay, so what I would tell you with a 3-wood, especially off the deck, right? Number one goal is making good contact. Like the extra 5, 7, 8 yards that you're going to get from swinging harder is much, it's going to produce a much more negative impact on, hitting the center of the face and launching it straight, right? So what I would tell you is really try to feel, especially off the deck, like you're just super smooth. Keep that ball not too far forward, right? Especially off the deck, just a little bit forward of center. Maybe a ball, right? It's not like driver where you're playing it up on your front foot or inside that left heel, right? A little further back. Don't be afraid to hit down on it some. And you just are going to want to make a really smooth, balanced swing, focusing on that center face contact. Right? What are your thoughts on Oakmont? So Oakmont, I thought, was really cool to see, like what a really hard golf course can do to those guys. I mean, one guy under par for 4 rounds, very, very tough scoring conditions. I would have liked to have seen it not soft, right? They got so much rain. It was very soft. I mean, the scores could have been even higher, right? Maybe, 5, 6 over could have won if the greens were actually firm. I don't want to watch it every day, but I found it very entertaining for U.S. Open. Is my honest answer. All right, just nice and smooth. Don't forget, these clubs do have loft on them, right? Even if it's only 15, 16 degrees of loft. If you make a good strike, that ball will get up in the air. You don't have to help it. Boom. But to be honest, I mostly hit 3-wood off the tee. Right? If there's like, say there's a creek or a hazard at 275 yards, I'm just not going to hit driver. I'm going to hit a 3-wood or a 5-wood, try to keep it short of that. All right, Bob says, how can I stop pulling my irons? So Bob, if you're pulling the irons, right, that means that, and if it's a straight pull, let's say that it's not really curving left or right after the pull, well, that tells us that the face is square to the path, which is great. You want to keep that up. But we do need to shift that path, right? If this is target and the path is somewhat across it this way, right? So you're launching that ball left of target, but it's not curving much, so the face is square, right? So what I would have you do is drop down a barrier or some sort of, right? You can use a head cover. I'll use this to demonstrate, right? And use this to block that outside path, right? So if your swing, is getting steep and over the top this way, right, to produce that path that's across it, that's getting you to pull it, right, you're going to be blocked by that head cover. So this will force you to get that path more out to the right. Like I said, your path will be blocked unless you approach it this way. And that should help you start to see that ball launching further to the right. Another quick one that can help, moving the ball further back in your stance will also help you launch it further to the right. Again, remember, this club is swinging on an arc around our body, so the further forward that we play the ball, right, look how much more left the face is pointing, versus back here, it's pointing much more to the right. So by moving the ball back, you can hit it sooner in the arc, and that will also cause it to launch further to the right. So that could be really helpful. Shout out to you, Meat Rookie. Appreciate you being here. I've never seen pros struggle in the rougher sand. Who's winning the Travelers? Paul, great question. I would love to see Tommy Fleetwood get it done. I really would. He's I've always liked his golf swing. I like his personality. It's a TaylorMade guy, so we get to see him in those cool videos too. Yeah, I think he's going to get it done today. I really do. He just hits it too good not to, right? Some of these other guys are falling off. Right, Nick said exactly. Scheffler fell off. This drill helped my driver slice, I swear. Definitely try it. Shout out to Tom. Yeah, I think that's a great drill. What's one thing most amateur golfers do in practice that's a waste of time? Good question. I think I see people, you know, just raking balls over. Like, they'll hit one, right? They won't hit it great, and they just grab another ball, and they don't like do any rehearsals, not trying to do anything different, right? They're just like, oh, let me try again, and I'll just hit another ball, right, and hope for a different outcome. I think if you actually want to get better and practicing, and you're on the range, right, make sure that you have an intention that you're working on something, right? It can be a shot shape. You can go and say, hey, I want to work on hitting a consistent draw, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm producing a draw, and, you know, I have to adjust my face or my release, my path, whatever it is, right? Or it could be, you know, for me, right, sometimes I struggle with my strike getting too far out on the toe. So I'll get on the range and I'll say, okay, I got to hit 5 balls in a row out of the heel, right? But I have a specific intention, something I'm working on, trying to improve my skill level and my technique and my ability, right? Not just basically exercising, right? Like if you're just somebody who hits balls and you miss one and you grab another ball and you miss it and you miss it and you miss it, right? You're just kind of exercising at that point. I think it's much more beneficial to, you know, try and work on, like, you know, whether it's your takeaway, some feels, right? Trying to get, you can get more than one practice rep out of each ball on the range, right? You can, you know, preset your impact. You can, you know, work on different feels and drills, you know, and make practice swings so that when you actually get in to hit it, right, you've primed your body. You're teaching yourself, you know, what it needs to do. So that's my main one. And then also, I'm glad that you asked this question because it kind of forced me to get there. The biggest issue that beginners have is they're trying to improve their swing. They're trying to do everything at full speed. That's hands down the number one issue, right? If you're out there saying, well, I really, you know, I want to work on my ball striking. I want to hit it more solidly, right? You have to learn to work on those things at slower speed. Like just slowing things down, making the swing smaller, right? Whether it's your tempo, some of these drills, right? Just slow everything down. It will be much more beneficial in building your technique and your skill level to work on those techniques at slower speed and then add speed than vice versa. Nick says, nice tattoos. Thanks very much, Nick. Might get the bit between his teeth. It's his kind of scenario. That's funny. Practice with intent. Yep, I agree, Pick Clean. Hey, what's up, Jackson? What's up, DJ? Shout out to you guys. Some longtime viewers coming back to check out the stream. I'll be honest, guys. I'm melting out here. It must be like 90, 95 now. It was like 89 when I started. That one felt really good. Let's see how that one looks on video. Spicy out today, brother. Yeah, that's exactly right, DJ. Are you a member at a course? Not right now, Nick. I was for the last few years, but with the upcoming move, like I mentioned earlier, my wife and I bought our first home, so we're going to be moving pretty soon. Chubbs Peterson over here, nice and smooth. Yeah, exactly, Tom. So, no, although I will be trying to, I'll probably get on the wait list at a club near the new house before too much longer, because I do really like having access to a high quality practice facility and a grass range. So setup wise, I'm trying to stand slightly further from it and just get a little bit more hip bend, right, in an attempt to get a tiny bit more, steepen the shoulder plane some, right? My shoulders tend to get a little flat and then fly open and I hit a bunch of pulls. So by giving myself a little bit more tilt, makes it a lot easier to really just kind of turn and stay on top of it. Woo, yeah, it is spicy, guys. If you're out there playing golf, make sure you use your sun protection, sunscreen, hats, sleeves, all that stuff. Stay hydrated, right? There's professional athletes out there keeling over in the heat. We're just a bunch of amateurs, so don't get hurt out there. Lars says, keep it up. Love your videos. Shout out to Lars. Feels like 45 C out there. Wow, that's really hot. How many times a week do you play? So I'm probably playing golf right now like once a week. Practicing, 2 to 3 times a week. I'm hoping to get that back up to like 2 to 3 times a week playing golf, whether it's 9 or 18 holes. But as you can imagine, with trying to coordinate a move and a whole bunch of stuff going on, it's tough to tell my wife, be like, hey, I'm going to go golf for 6 hours, while you're dealing with all this stuff. See you later. So there will be time for that stuff again. Do you like playing the same course over and over again? Or do you like to switch it up? So, both. Both, I think. I loved being a member at a club and playing, the same track and getting to know it really well. But there is something to be said of like, I played here before. I know what I'm going to get. Trying new courses can be great. New house is in Rhode Island. Still in New England. Moving down to little old Rhode Island. Membership also gets easier access to the Club Pro. That's exactly right, John. Yeah, at my last club, I really enjoyed. There was one of the pros there. Was a very accomplished player. He's played in the PGA Championship a couple times and actually won the PGA Pro tournament once. So really, really good player. And one of the things that really helped me, confidence-wise, was going out and playing a match against him and being like, wait, we kind of hit it the same, right? This guy, he scores better, he makes more putts, and he misses it in better spots. But the good shots are pretty similar. And that gave me a ton of confidence to say, like, okay, your ball striking is not that far off. Right? So I agree. There's a ton of benefits of having access to those guys and guys and girls. Try staring at ball from start to finish. You won't move a bit. And Jackson said, what's up? What's up to you, Jackson? My granddad always told me, stick to the golf, son, implying to not date anyone. That's funny. Yeah, married to the game, right? Groovy said hi. Shout out to Groovy. DJ said, when you're aiming for a shot shape draw fade, how much movement do you account for? That's a good question. For me, it's not very much, right? Because I over the years have developed, a very, I deliver the club very squarely back to impact, right? The face isn't pointing, a whole left or right a whole bunch. So it's really personal, right? Some guys play like really big draws and everything's turning, 8, 10, 12 yards. Other times it'll be, pretty tight draws and fades. So, again, what I would tell you to do is when you're warming up or practicing on the range and you're hitting shapes and different shots, just try to get a sense of like, okay, if I want to hit this ball at the center of the green, do I have to aim it, in between the center of the green and the edge of the green? Do I have to aim it at the edge of the green? Do I have to aim it, past, outside of the line of the green? Do you remember me? Yeah, of course, Jackson. Jackson's one of our longtime supporters on the channel. Shout out to Jackson 2013. I think Paul's right. I think I do just need a tiny bit more, head stability sometimes. Right? Really just keeping my head down. all the way through impact. Those were pretty crunchy. Isaac says, I'm back. I did pretty good. That's awesome. In Tuscaloosa, my high school golf coach years ago told me that golf matches are won or lost in the red zone, shorter game, 30 yards and in. Can't agree more. Yeah, so if you're a beginner and you want to really lower your scores, double bogey avoidance and three-putt avoidance, those are really going to be your friends, right? So, yeah, of course, Isaac, you were just in here. My round improved by 10 strokes after playing with the pro. Francisco wants to know, have you tested the Kirkland irons? I have not tested those, so I could not give you a good recommendation. But if you're a beginner, then, mostly, work on building your skills and impact, before you worry so much about the equipment. Pick Clean says, seeing your smoothness makes me feel like I might be rushing my shots too much. I'm still not consistent enough. Oh, wifey's here. Hello, wifey.
Like an hour?
What's that?
Can we leave in like an hour?
Yeah. What are you eating?
What am I eating? My yogurt.
Oh, nice. DJ says, ran into a few snaps today, which massacred my round. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Mitchell says, I'm a beginner. At what point did you find your distance with your clubs? Paul is a pro, just out injured at the minute. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the distance with your clubs, right? That's, once you feel like you're pretty consistently, hitting the... so, number one, it's a good idea to have a sense, right away, right? Whether you're a beginner or not. Maybe your pitching wedge goes 85 yards, maybe it goes 120 yards, maybe it goes 150 yards, right? But having some idea, and you can use a lot of ranges now will have like a rudimentary TrackMan system or some sort of top tracer, a way to at least say like, okay, this is in the range. The range of roughly how far they go. But I would say, once you're at the point where you are pretty consistently striking the ball and it's, flying on a consistent trajectory, right? You're not, hitting them on the ground or really duffing them anymore, right? That's the point at which you're saying, okay, I really want to try to, take that next step and understand how far do these clubs go? Which one should I be using, for different situations on the golf course? Right, and the fastest way to do that, guys, like you've heard me say a million times, is work backwards from impact. Right, learn how to strike the ball solidly and consistently with a really small swing. Right, and just over and over again. You can't practice this enough. Just learn what that impact position looks like, and practice hitting the center of the face, hitting down on the ball some amount. And ideally, it's going to fly pretty straight towards your target. So I have an 8-iron here. And if I was doing this drill in the range, I would be trying to hit the ball maybe 50 yards. Right? But I'm hitting the center of the face. I'm making nice, crisp contact. And you can do this drill, until you feel like you could hit it 9 out of 10 times like that. You don't need to really make the swing too much bigger, right? Then once you've got the impact part down, then you can start adding more speed, right? And saying, okay, I can do that really consistently. Let's now try like a 3/4 swing, right? And still, just like that, making nice center contact. DJ, no kids, just the 2 dogs. So at the moment, not too difficult, but it's definitely life good shit. Yeah, that's funny. Ashan said, "Oh, that's all creative, right?" And I'm impressed that you came up with what 4 or 5 different ones right off the top. The real answer, DJ, is when you have other stuff going on, right? Trying to find, I think about it like shoulder time, right? So I'll go and play golf like at 6 a.m. and I'll go play 9 holes and I'll be back by 8 or 8:30, and you can kind of have a normal day from there, and vice versa. Like if I'm going to do a stream, sometimes if things are busy and the wife has stuff going on or we need to, I can't be out here. We'll say, okay, I'll do a stream at 9 o'clock at night, right? There's not usually a whole lot of other stuff going on in those really early or late windows. So that's how I've found a way to, you know, squeeze some extra time in. And my wife is incredibly supportive. She, you know, loves that I'm doing something like this that makes me happy. And I bettered my shots by stopping the tendency trying to hit the ball as hard as I could. Great point, John. I agree with you. Right? Like, there was a time when I was like, man, isn't it cool? I'm hitting this 9-iron 165 yards, and I'd be like, well, I'm also kind of hitting it all over the place. Like, what if I hit it, you know, 155, but I hit it, you know, really solidly and straight? Like, wouldn't that be better? So I similarly am trying to have just a really kind of smooth, like, that's as hard as I want to swing out on the golf course, and it produces plenty of speed. And looked that up. I'm going to introduce you to a Scottish word. It's called wheesht. Glad I'm able to culture the chat with a little bit of Scottish slang. Wait, now I want to know. Wait, now I have to look it up. I don't want to be left out. Oh, nice. Well done, Tom. Perfectly applied. Perfectly applied. Oh, man. If you guys are enjoying the stream, you want to hit that subscribe button for me. It really does help us out. Get to hang out with these cool guys like, you know, Tom and John, Picked Clean. All these people who have been hanging out. DJ, Isaac, Jackson, John, Isaac, Paul. Don't forget Paul. Right? All these cool internet cats that we've been introducing to the stream and continue to hang out, which is super cool. Bow, bow, bow. Really excited to see how my game is playing a whole bunch of days in a row. Like I said, I have this 3-day member guest coming up, so I'm going to be playing a practice round Wednesday, and then the tournament is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hopefully be able to film some stuff and make a little content while we're out there. I don't know what the vibe will be like, but that would be cool. At least, you know, get some cool course videos and also just, you know, playing multiple days in a row, the game's going to feel a lot better. It's going to feel crisper, right? One of my favorite parts of doing extended golf trips is by that, like, 3rd, 4th, 5th day, you're like, man, I know how my swing's going to feel. I know how I'm hitting it. Right? I think the hardest part for most of us is if you only play once or twice a week and you don't have a ton of time to practice, it's like, well, what swing am I going to get today? So that'll be pretty exciting. He said, I'm cool. Trying to birdie every hole and get as close as I could. Yeah, I agree. You know, course management is huge. I like that swing a lot. I like that swing a lot. I love the course. Me too. All right, guys, I'm probably going to hit a few more balls here. And then we'll call it for now. We'll see how the day goes. We might have some other things to work on, but I would love to be able to come back on tonight if possible. More of our usual time. I appreciate you guys all still showing up to support me, even though there's no schedule. There's no, like, this one John's going to be live. I know it's going to be this time and this day. And you guys still show up, right? Just getting the notifications. I mean, that's super cool. That felt like about as good as I could hit an 8-iron. I don't know if it's going to get a whole lot better than that. You should try playing in the Vancouver area. I would love to, John. If you're out there, drop some courses out that way that you think I should try. Yeah, that swing looks really good to my eye. My farthest drive's like 200 yards. That's okay, Isaac. Just keep working at it, right? Speed is a skill in golf. It's not, you know, if you're hitting at a certain distance or a certain speed, it's not like you're stuck there. You know, there are things you can do, ways to improve that. And as you know, increase your skill level in golf and keep having more time to practice, that speed will come. Bow, 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 bow. That similarly was not a very good. Arbutus and City Course, very cool. One little bit at a time, but I agree with Paul. You need to come back to Scotland to play some of the classics. Oh, I would love to. I would really, really like to come and play in Scotland. Swing's feeling really good, guys. Really, really good. Just consistent, pretty smooth. Feels like I'm hitting the center of the face regularly. Nice and thumpy there. Whew. Hopefully you'll be back on later, bro. Yeah, I'm going to try to, Paul. Demon says, what clubs are those? These are the Tacoma 301 CB irons. Can't have you play when it's absolutely stoating it. I assume that means like raining or pissing. These are the 301 CBs, Demon. Can hear the compression. Cool. Yeah, it's, you know, like I said, it's feeling good. I'm trying to keep it super smooth. I'm going to go cool off, guys. Try to stay hydrated. Really, really appreciate all you guys subscribing, joining the stream, checking out the videos, all the likes and comments. Shout out to you guys. Until next time.